In the world tonight, gunfire at Gustafson Lake. The Prime Minister takes aim at the referendum. And pension countdown on Parliament Hill.
The World Tonight with Jane Gilbert, Peter Kent, and Susan Hay with the weather.
Good evening. A native standoff in the BC interior exploded in gunfire again today. Natives at Gustafson Lake claim 3 of their members were shot when rebels and police exchanged a hail of bullets.
The violence erupted after police opened fire on a truck that entered a police-designated no-go zone. The truck burst into flames. Its occupants fled, leaving an AK-47 assault rifle and a hunting rifle behind. Global's Bridget Anderson is standing by live with the latest information this evening. Bridget?
Thanks, Jane. Police are calling it a gun battle. They say thousands of shots were fired. It's believed that one woman from the camp has been injured, but police can't confirm that. Neither can the native delegation. Police are understandably upset about all of what's gone on, as are the natives, and police say that this has jeopardized the situation with negotiations at this point. We'll talk to Sergeant Montague and hear what he has to say.
The 2 bisons came under heavy fire, initiated by the camp occupants. The RCMP members at that time did return fire. The RCMP negotiators contacted the camp and spoke to a Jones Ignace. Ignace advised our negotiators that 3 people were injured as a result of the gun battle. The RCMP negotiators asked him to have his people return to the camp so that we could facilitate a timely removal of any injured people. His response was that nobody was leaving the camp, and the conversation ended. The RCMP has consistently been fired upon by the camp occupants at every time an occasion has presented itself. Never has the RCMP initiated any gunfire. The RCMP is not dealing with the rights to Sundance rituals. Those issues have been addressed by the property owner and the local Shuswap band. The RCMP is not dealing with land claims issues. Those concerns are being addressed at the appropriate political levels. The RCMP is dealing with a criminal agenda, which is continuously being pursued and advanced by the criminal element in that camp. These people have demonstrated through their past records that they are not interested in a lawful and orderly resolution to this matter. They have usurped any legitimate goals and objectives of the local people with their own self-serving criminal agenda.
Police say that there are people in the camp with a criminal record, as you just heard, and they are saying that these people have come from all over Canada and the United States. Jane?
Now, Bridget, I wonder, there seems to be a dispute as to who has been injured, how many people have been injured. Do we know anything about treatment for the injured?
No, at this point we're still waiting to hear if somebody has been injured. We have not got that confirmed as of yet. A negotiator has gone back in, though, tonight, has walked back in. The police say that some of the people in the camp want to come out, and I presume the negotiator will be able to find out if someone has been injured.
Do we know what the negotiator hopes to achieve beyond that tonight, and what's the mood at the camp tonight? Does it look as if hostilities have at least ended for this evening?
That's totally something that you can't even count on at this point, and the negotiator is hoping for a ceasefire, but that's really speculative at this point.
All right. Thank you very much. Bridget Anderson joining us this hour from 100 Mile House, British Columbia. Peter?
A native protester was buried in southwestern Ontario today. Anthony Dudley George was shot and killed by police last week when a dispute at Ipperwash Provincial Park escalated into a gun battle. Global's Jane Antoniak reports.
Carloads and even busloads of natives came from many provinces and the United States for the funeral. Once inside Camp Ipperwash, the overflow waited outside the building where the service took place. Then they slowly marched down Army Camp Road to the Stony Point Cemetery, a decades-old resting place for the George family.
There's a burial ground back there that's been theirs, but also the park has been their traditional burial ground. And the older people have already known that, and they've already told us that.
The only police present were the native peacekeepers who were simply on crowd control. Earlier today, the Ontario government cancelled a court injunction that would have given the police more time to forcibly remove natives from Ipperwash Park. They've been occupying it since Monday night, and it's where the shooting took place. Gord Peters believes there won't be any more confrontations now after the funeral, that the people are still mourning, but dealings with the police are strained.
Our relationship with the police has, you know, I guess to this point has deteriorated quite a bit, and this last one is the max, and so there's not going to be a lot of trust out there for a while, you know, in police relations generally in any part of the province, because things just don't, you know, things over historically have not been that good anyway to begin with.
And even though there was a somber mood here today, some people say there's anger below the surface aimed at the province for not getting involved in settling this dispute, and anger, of course, at the police. Jane Antoniak, Global News, Ipperwash.
And Premier Harris refuses still to get involved in the standoff. Harris said again today that the native occupation of the park and Camp Ipperwash is an issue of law and order. Native leaders claim only a political solution will resolve the problem.
It's 7 weeks and counting to the Quebec referendum. The vote will be held on October the 30th. Today, Prime Minister Chrétien warned Quebecers to avoid a trap. It was Chrétien's first comment on the issue since the referendum question was revealed by Quebec Premier Jacques Parizeau last week. Global Sean Mallon reports.
Since the wording of the referendum question was released last week, the Prime Minister has maintained a studied silence on the issue, leaving it to other Federalist leaders to go on the attack. But after a speech in Toronto, he made himself available for an opinion, one that reflects what he's been saying for months.
It's not a very clear question. We'll have to explain to them all these words means nothing, but they want a one-way ticket for separation. And I know that if it is for separation that they were called upon to vote clearly, they will be clobbered. So it's why they are hiding the truth.
He carried that theme further in an attack on Bloc Québécois leader Lucien Bouchard.
Why Monsieur Bouchard had to say to the Americans, I'm a separatist, and when he comes to Quebec, he does not have the guts to tell the Quebecers what he is. I'm going to Quebec, and everybody knows that I'm a Canadian, that I'm a Federalist, and I'm well received.
But he said it was a good thing that a Quebec judge refused a bid to stop the referendum.
Because there was a need for a vote, and it's very clear in my mind that it will be the last one, and of course Canada will win.
He said there won't be any more referendums because Quebecers are fed up with the issue. The purpose of Chrétien's visit was to address a forum examining Canada's international relations. He made a point of closing his speech by noting that the United Nations has called this country the best in the world in which to live, and he said it in French.
Il n'y a pas de meilleur pays au monde que le Canada.
And that's expected to be the line the Prime Minister takes throughout the referendum campaign, to stress the positive aspects of Canada and to place the burden of proof in the debate on the separatist side. Still, it appears the political fighter in Chrétien won't be able to resist a few personal shots along the way. Sean Mallon, Global News, Toronto.
In less than an hour, members of Parliament will be locked in or out of the modified Parliamentary pension plan. A plan still denounced by critics today as a gold-plated ripoff. A story from Global Senior Parliamentary Correspondent John Burke.
So each of these balloons is signifying $1 million, which taxpayers have to work hard and pay into Revenue Canada.
The red balloons also symbolize federal debt and the official color of the governing Liberal Party. Reform wanted to make the point that all but one of their members have dropped out of the pension plan, whereas only 6 Liberals have done so by today's deadline.
And so I'm standing here today on September 11th, 1995, the last day which MPs have to opt out, telling Canada that if I am going to be a leader in this country, I must exercise leadership by example, and I opt out.
Hear, hear. Brian Tobin made his name during this year's Turbot War. He's now also famous as the MP with potentially the richest pension, nearly $3.6 million. Another example, Conservative leader Jean Charest. He could collect slightly less, $3.5 million. And all of the separatist bloc members, including leader Lucien Bouchard, have decided to stay in the federal plan.
The 53 Bloc Québécois MPs who want to separate from the country, not one of them wanted to separate from their pensions, which are paid for overwhelmingly by Canadian taxpayers.
Somerville estimates the MP's pensions could cost more than $218 million. Another protest group, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, presented symbolic checks to cabinet ministers' offices across the country. One of the few Liberals who backed out is Toronto area MP Dan McTeague.
I think in my community, one of the younger communities in the country, and one of the fastest growing, I have to send a message that if I'm going to advocate austerity for people, I've got to be able to, put my money where my mouth is.
In defense, the government line is this pension is not a gift. MPs earn it by kicking in about $9,000 a year from their salary. The benefits, they admit, are better than what a janitor might earn on retirement, but still equal to what a vice principal of a high school will take in. John Burke, Global News, Ottawa.
The crisis in Ontario's legal aid system came to a head today when a high-profile Toronto lawyer put the province on notice. John Rosen, the man who defended Paul Bernardo, says he is not about to work for nothing, either on Bernardo's case or any others for that matter. Global Sue Scambatti has the story.
John Rosen is the first prominent defense lawyer to stop doing legal aid work because there's no guarantee he'll get paid.
There isn't anybody in this country who works for nothing, and I don't intend to join, to be the first.
This morning, Rosen asked a Toronto judge to remove him as counsel of record for a client charged in the October '94 murder of Chris Bagos. Rosen pointed out that the judge, the Crown, the guards, and even the court cleaners all get paid, but he has received no such assurances from legal aid.
I'm prepared to go to jail if necessary. If they want to put somebody who refuses to work for nothing in jail, then so be it.
Last week, Rosen was forced to lay off 5 associate lawyers and a secretary at his Toronto law firm. He says legal aid already owes him at least $250,000, which includes just one bill for Paul Bernardo. Rosen represented Bernardo at his double murder trial. He plans to be in court on Friday when Bernardo appears for a sentencing hearing, but future dealings with the convicted killer depend on money.
Well, Mr. Bernardo has filed his appeal, and obviously if he isn't properly funded, then it'll proceed as a prisoner's appeal, and the Court of Appeal will have to deal with an unrepresented accused.
Today, the judge in the Bagos case ordered the Attorney General to pay Rosen's fees. The case was adjourned one day to determine whether the ministry will comply. Sue Scambatti, Global News, Toronto.
5 people were injured today, 2 of them seriously, in a gas explosion northwest of Toronto. A consumer's gas crew was performing a routine maintenance check on an underground natural gas line when the blast occurred. Fire officials say one of the valves blew off, blowing 2 workers out of the hole and rocking the entire neighborhood. The gas was eventually turned off and the area was temporarily evacuated. All 5 people who were injured were taken to hospital. 1 is in critical condition.
When the World Tonight continues, one day after launching cruise missiles against Serb targets, NATO bombers keep up the pressure in Bosnia.
And later, voters in New Brunswick elect a not-so-new provincial government. Stay with us.
We don't know who told you to stop drinking milk, but they did you no favor. Milk's exquisite cold taste is the same you remember. As a woman 25 to 49, you need 700 milligrams calcium a day. Just 1 glass of 2% milk gives you 315. Splashing over hunger, cold deep down, and beneath the satisfaction, the feeling you're doing yourself some good. You know it isn't just for children. Milk is for life. Isn't it time you came back home to milk?
Wouldn't it be great to feel this secure every day of the month? New Stay Free SureFit protects you in a whole new way. Look, maxis can gap, and gaps can cause leakage. New Stay Free SureFit has a gently raised center designed to avoid gaps, designed to fit you closer. And a closer fit means better protection. Now that's the way it should be. Try new Stay Free SureFit. No worries, just protection. No kidding.
If you love a good cookie, looky over here. 'Cause a Tim Hortons cookie is a cookie beyond compare. Baked fresh every day in that old-fashioned way. Chewy and moist, always a choice. Yeah, you've always got time for Tim Hortons. Pick up 6 cookies for just $1.49. You'll love our new macaroons. You've always got time for Tim Hortons.
Every day around 3 o'clock, I get a little craving.
Judy.
Yeah?
I love you, Judy.
Uh-huh. It's 3 o'clock.
Judy.
Judy's not here.
Oh, Judy, I think you know what I'm thinking about. I think you know what I want.
No.
Judy.
No.
Judy.
No.
Oh, please, baby.
No.
Don't hurt me, baby.
Chocolaires.
What? I love you, baby.
Yeah.
Chocolaires, with whipped chocolatey filling between light, crispy wafers and covered with milk chocolate. For that 3 o'clock craving that can't be ignored.
Oh, Judy, you're my sweet, loving woman.
Yeah.
NATO officials said today that they will not let up on the series of air and cruise missile attacks against Bosnian Serb positions.
The words were backed up with action today as NATO warplanes again flew bombing missions over Bosnia. The Serb protests of the bombardment gained an ally when Russia called for an immediate halt to Operation Deliberate Force. Global's Clay Scott has the latest from Sarajevo.
NATO warplanes continued to pound Bosnian Serb positions throughout Bosnia. The planes struck a variety of targets, including ammunition dumps, radar installations, roads, and bridges. Bosnian Serbs said that yesterday's Tomahawk missile attack had caused extensive civilian damage, a claim refuted by NATO. NATO officials said the missiles had hit only military targets.
Moving on to
a NATO spokesman stressed today that the use of the sea-based Tomahawks did not constitute an escalation of the alliance's operation against the Bosnian Serbs.
We don't consider the Tomahawk represents an escalation. We have a range of weapons, a range of systems, and a range of capabilities. And the Tomahawk we consider as one element in that armory. We don't consider its use as an escalation, and if suitable again, we may well use it again, just as we may use other elements of our armory.
But Bosnian leader Radovan Karadzic, in a letter sent to Bill Clinton, John Major, and Boris Yeltsin, threatened to pull out of the peace process if any more missiles were used against his forces. And in Brussels, Russia's envoy to NATO, Vitaly Churkin, said the NATO bombing campaign had gone too far.
Among the concerns I've expressed talking to the NATO Council is the fact that a massive use of military force in Bosnia and Herzegovina could have, as one of the consequences, the whipping up of the sentiments of confrontation, which we all have worked so hard to put to rest.
But NATO ambassadors informed Churkin that the mission against the Bosnian Serbs had the backing of the United Nations and would continue until the Serbs complied with UN demands. UN officials say the bombing will not halt until the Serbs remove all heavy weapons from the 20-kilometer exclusion zone surrounding Sarajevo. Clay Scott, Global News, Sarajevo.
It was thought that the defense at the O.J. Simpson murder trial might conclude its case today, but in yet another bizarre twist, it didn't happen. Lawyer Johnny Cochran said the defense could not rest until after its appeals dealing with former police detective Mark Furman had been dealt with. Judge Lance Ito, sensing the anxiety of the jury, came up with his own rather unusual solution. He allowed the defense to postpone resting its case, but at the same time ordered the prosecution to proceed with its rebuttal. The prosecution began that phase of the trial by showing the jury photos of Simpson at football games wearing gloves similar to the ones linked to the murders.
In this country, once again, a hat trick in New Brunswick tonight. The provincial Liberals have steamrollered their way to a third straight victory. To no one's surprise, Premier Frank McKenna's Liberals are back in office after taking 46 of a possible 54 seats. Global's East Coast correspondent Ward Smith reports.
The Frank McKenna miracle just won't go away in New Brunswick. 28 days after an election call, the electorate voted yes to a government that, in the minds of many, has put the province on the Canadian economic map. The third consecutive majority is an endorsement of his pro-business, anti-deficit policies.
I believe congratulations are in order. Merci à tous les chefs des autres partis politiques, and to those who have been elected tonight, I want to personally congratulate them. I look forward to working with them in the interest of the citizens of the province of New Brunswick.
The Progressive Conservative Party will form the opposition after 2 terms of virtual banishment. The bright spot for their future rests with a popular support of roughly 30%. The big losers this election, the Confederation of Regions Party. They are totally wiped out in the legislature, losing official opposition status.
You show unity, you don't wash your laundry out in the public. We do still have an issue that could be a vote getter in this province, and we'll assess the situation over the next few weeks.
Elizabeth Weir, leader of the NDP, repeated her performance as the only elected New Democrat. Analysts are wary of how the legislature will look and operate despite the return of the Tories.
I don't think having back-to-back-to-back huge majority governments is healthy. And in fact, in the history of New Brunswick, that tends to be what we do. We tend to elect a government that stays there for a very long time until they absolutely collapse.
McKenna has won an even stronger majority than he did in the last election. The Tories are hopeful they can rebuild under the leadership of Al Coeur, but the opposition, in terms of numbers, is still at best very weak. Ward Smith, Global News, St. John.
Well, you can take off a blanket tonight, but don't put it away.
We can take it off for a few nights. It's going to be that nice out there.
Promise?
Temperatures, I always promise, and I keep them. Temperatures tomorrow in the low to mid-20s. Fair amount of sunshine, keeping the warm temperatures the next couple of days, but changes to the sunshine.
All right, we'll be back with Susan and her Ontario weather forecast, and we'll have a final report right after this.
Every day for 2 weeks now.
And it's good.
It's very good.
Very good.
It's extremely good.
Extremely good.
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks and it's
good.
Really?
They're talking about Kellogg's All Bran. It's very high in fiber. Make it part of your complete breakfast for 2 weeks and see how you feel about it.
You should try it.
I'm gonna try.
Good.
Kellogg's All Bran cereal. Try it for 2 weeks. Love it forever.
It's one of the most underrated things in life.
Over 80,000 more businesses can now save like never before on long distance. Because by spending as little as $45 a month, they can now qualify for Bell Advantage savings that average 20 to 40%. So call Bell now, because with over 80,000 more businesses out there, chances are yours could be one of them.
Unique, with an inner fire and an irresistible natural beauty. There's no mistaking a brilliance that lasts forever. Surprise her with a diamond beyond all her expectations.
In the world of a child, wishes can so easily become reality. That's what I like about Kinder Surprise. It's 3 of the things children wish for most. A surprise, a toy, and a chocolate treat. Delicious Kinder milk chocolate with a wholesome milky layer and hundreds of different toys to build and collect. So each time it's a new surprise. Kinder Surprise. It's 3 wishes that always come true.
Pretty nice day tomorrow right across Ontario. Very little in the way of precipitation. If it does happen, it'll be late in the day for the far north and the extreme southwest. The main band of precipitation is expected, though, Wednesday and lingering through Thursday. Return to sunshine Friday, but it will be cooler, so enjoy the next couple of days. A closer look at Ontario at this hour. We had some high base clouds earlier on in the evening. Now pushed off to the east. We are mainly clear at this hour. You see some very light precipitation moving in from the states. That should move across the lower Great Lakes late in the day for the extreme southwest, but the main band is not expected until Wednesday and then lingering through Thursday. On to the current map. In behind this ridge of high tonight, we have a light southwesterly flow, a little stronger in between the 2 systems for the northwest corner of the province, as high as 32 kilometers per hour. Now lows anywhere from 7 to 10 degrees, and we are mainly clear tonight and overnight. On the map tomorrow, this ridge of high moves off to the east, but still lingering, so sunshine at first, with some increasing late-day clouds just about everywhere. Again, in advance of this disturbance, a 30% chance of some showers late in the day for Windsor, and a 20% chance for the far north, including Timmins tomorrow. Again, all of this late in the day. Brisk winds continuing out of the southwest tomorrow, 30 gusting to 50. Showers Wednesday, Thursday. We have a new ridge building out of the prairie provinces that you can't see on this surface map, but that will take place on Friday, and with that will be a cooler air air mass. Now, temperatures tomorrow, northern and central areas in the 20s. The low 20s, but you should be 18, 19 degrees, so you're doing okay for the next couple of days. Ottawa, Metro Toronto, and Windsor, daytime highs tomorrow, 22 to 26 degrees. 23 is the norm, and we're going to keep that range for the next couple of days. Here's the quick look now at the next 4 days as we take a look at Timmins tomorrow, increasing clouds with a 20% chance of late-day showers. The Sioux, North Bay, Elliott Lake, sunny with increasing afternoon clouds, a southwest wind 30, gusting to 50. Now, Ottawa will be sunny tomorrow. It will be windy, but Kingston, Trenton, and Belleville, there'll be some late-day clouds and the same wind speeds. Muskoka, Parry Sound, Halliburton, Enbury. Sunshine at first tomorrow with increasing afternoon clouds, a windy afternoon, and about 22. Now, the southwest, beginning with Windsor, increasing clouds with a 30% chance of some late-day showers, 23 tomorrow. London, including Metro Toronto, Hamilton, Kitchener, and Niagara, all sharing the same forecast here. Sunny tomorrow with late-day clouds as that disturbance pushes through. It will be a windy afternoon, a southwest flow as high as 40 kilometers per hour. Our daytime high, 23 over the next couple of days, which is a seasonal value, 24 Thursday. And then we get back into the sunshine, but unfortunately a cooler type air mass, so only 19 degrees. So the next few days, it's going to be warm, great afternoon tomorrow with the sun, and then some wet weather.
Okay, thanks, Susan.
You're welcome.
Well, finally tonight, for residents of Sudbury, the phrase "far fields look greener" certainly does not apply these days. That's because the fields closer to home are now greener. An aerial seeding project sponsored by the nickel giant Inco has rejuvenated land that was scarred by years of mining. And as Global's Mike Boothman reports, that seeding program is about to hit a significant milestone.
Hoping to correct the defoliating effects of decades of sulfur dioxide emissions from mining, the Sudbury region initiated a program of rehabilitation in the late 1970s. Continuing the effort, Inco, the greatest source of the emissions, took to the skies to regreen the ground in 1990. For 2 weeks every year, the company, using 4 modified Polish crop dusters, drops lime on a pre-selected area. The lime reacts with the ground sulfur, setting the stage for seeding.
We put on 700 pounds of fertilizer, and then to follow that we put on 70 pounds of seed. It's a combination of different grasses.
The 450 acres of ground greening this month will mean a total of 2,000 acres rehabilitated since the program's inception. The aerial assault has proved vital in prompting Mother Nature into action.
After we established the initial grasses and the ground's capable of holding much more moisture, we also get invasion of poplars and birch trees. We're also planting ourselves about 250,000 pine trees a year.
So successful is the result of regreening once barren land, it may take less time than initially believed to complete the project.
So hopefully in the next 10 years, this program will not be required.
Meaning an area which has bore the scars of mining much of this century will be a lot greener heading into the next one. Mike Boothman, Global News, Sudbury.
That's the world tonight for this Monday. For Susan and all of us here, I'm Jane Gilbert.
And I'm Peter Kent. Global's next newscast, the news at noon. On tomorrow's show, how to properly research a new car purchase. Stay tuned now for Sportsline with Jim Tatty. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.